So this will be the first video that I do for you with regard to your final Excel project. And what you see on the screen, and you'll have a copy of it in your hands or at least in Canvas. But this is the data collection instrument that was used for the data that you'll be analyzing for the final project. So I'm talking about this. I'll do another video on the instructions, and then actually a third video on some ideas about how to and how not to summarize data. So the survey title that you will be analyzing is called the Coping Competence Survey. And I'll scroll down through it and talk a little bit about it. And I think this will help you when you read the instructions and then you start looking at the data to see kind of what the expectations are. So typically in a survey, many of the first questions, and you guys have probably all taken surveys before, but there's generally some background questions about anyone who's taking the survey. These are referred to as demographic questions. So I believe the way that I have the instructions set up is that you'll first select 2 out of the first 6 questions on here to analyze. And so you can see there's things about what's your gender, what is your age, what is your GPA, on average, how many hours of sleep do you get, what's your year in school, and what is your ethnicity. So notice that some of these have answers available to the participant. So when the participant took the survey for gender, they could say male, female, non-binary, third gender, or prefer not to say. So they could select one of those 4. And then some of them, the next 3 in fact, are open-ended. So the person could just simply write their age in. So the way that you need to think about these first 6 questions, again, is that they are considered demographic questions. They are personal information about the participant that just gives you some background as to who is filling out your survey. 3 of them are considered qualitative, and 3 of them are considered quantitative. So the qualitative ones are the ones where the answers are provided. So gender, year in school, and ethnicity are considered qualitative because they describe the individual. And then questions 2, 3, and 4 are considered quantitative because the answers that the participant would give is an age in numbers, GPA in numbers, a number of hours of sleep per night. So we'll talk about those when we get to the instructions about what you're going to do for this project. The next questions that we'll look at are 7, 8, and 9. And again, these are considered quantitative because they ask the participant to rank their current fitness level, their current dietary level, and their current level of body fat. So in each of these, one is low or poor or over fat, and then the higher the number, the better the person is at indicating what their fitness level is. The closer to 10 it is, the higher they rank that. Closer it is to 10, the higher they say their diet is, or the better they say their diet is. And then closer it is to 10, that would be ideal percent body fat, meaning actually low. So that's the next 3 questions. And again, we'll talk when we get to the instructions about how you will, or how you will actually analyze these. Question 10 deals with them rating their overall health on a 3-point scale. So 1 poor, 2 okay but could be better, and 3 excellent. And what you'll notice is that yes, there are descriptors of these, but there's actually also numbers out. And so we're going to use those numbers to create, to look at 2 different groups of people that you create and add up their scores when those groups doing an independent t-test. So those 1, 2, and 3 for overall health will be important, as you'll see when we get to the instructions. And then we have question 11, and under question 11, and I'll scroll down, then we'll come back up to the top of this, but you'll notice that there are 10 answers to, 10 questions related to question number 11. And on each of these, the participant just read the statement, and in Qualtrics, which is where they took this survey, they either said strongly agree, which was worth 1 point, all the way up to, excuse me, strongly disagree, which was worth 1 point, all the way up to strongly agree, which was worth 4 points. And so in a moment when we get to the instructions, I'll talk about how do you come up with this total coping competence scale. And I will tell you right now, it deals with these 10 questions for question number 11. And so if someone would answer, no matter how much energy I put into a task, I feel I have no control over the outcome. So if they said, I agree with that, for that question, for that person, that would be worth 3 points. And again, we'll look at how you're going to actually come up with this total competence score momentarily. And then question 12 is sort of the same thing. Again, people are answering questions about themselves as a college student. The verbiage here in some of these talks about a task. So a task, for the purposes of this, is work that they did as a student. So a quiz, a test paper, a project, etc. So again, there are 10 of these questions, and for each of these, they answer strongly agree with, for these questions, that's worth 4, all the way. Strongly disagree worth 4, strongly agree worth 1. So I'll read the first question again. I feel my ability to solve problems is the cause of my success. So if they strongly agree with that, then that would be worth 1 point. And then there is a question 13 on here, and it just has had them kind of check all that apply. And so from the list provided, check all that apply that describe your feelings about yourself as a college student. Even though there are numbers in the parentheses there, those actually have no meaning. You're going to be analyzing data for 10 different people. And so if 10 different people said helpless, that might be one of the things that you talk about in your Excel project. So the numbers here don't really mean anything, but you'll see when we get to the instructions, you'll be asked to analyze like the top 4 or 5 things, or maybe not even that many, that people said that they felt like. So we'll talk about that as we look at the instructions.